Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel for my Fundamentals of Speech class at Southeastern University. I'm going to be doing my persuasive speech today, and we're going to be looking at the difference between rugby and why it's better than American football. I grew up playing American football like a lot of kids did in our area down here in Florida, and I've also watched rugby and learned about it for pretty much my whole life. And today we're going to be looking at three main points when it comes to rugby compared to American football. One of the points is going to be time, which is really valuable to everyone, and then we're going to be discussing why rugby is a better use of your time than American football is. Then we're going to be looking at popularity, not just from a country standpoint here in the United States, but on a worldwide, global scale. And then we're going to be looking at safety, which sport is actually safer. First one we're going to get into is time. Time is a very valuable thing to all of us, and we've all watched those sporting events on TV that take up all your time. You're sitting there, you're watching the game, it's going smoothly, and then all of a sudden there's a timeout, or the play is blown dead, and next thing you know, you're watching commercials. Commercials are probably the most annoying thing in the world when it comes to sporting events. And they just happen over and over again when it comes to American football, whether it be after a punt, or a timeout by the coach, or in between quarters. You have 4 15-minute quarters in an American football game, and they're all filled with timeouts and commercials. Rugby, on the other hand, has 2 40-minute halves with continuous running clock. And what continuous running clock means, no commercials. It means we don't have to stop after we're getting into the game, go watch some ad about something we don't even care about, and then have to get back into the game. It's constant action for 40 minutes, and it's more bang for your buck. The next thing we're going to look at is popularity. Now, obviously, you would think American football is more popular because we're in the United States. And that may be true. Rugby's probably not as popular here in the United States as American football. But there's no reason why it shouldn't be. If you look all around the world, rugby's way more popular than American football. If you look at countries with leagues of football, the only one is the United States. If you look at countries with leagues for rugby, it encompasses all of Europe, some countries in Asia, some countries in Africa, some countries in South America, and even countries in North America, such as the United States. It may be small, but it's still a league, and it encompasses it on a global scale. Also, another thing to look at when we look at the global scale is the implication of a national tournament. Yes, you have the Super Bowl in the United States, which crowns you world champions, but are you really the world champions, or are you more the champions of America? In rugby, you have the Rugby World Cup, which is every nation in the world that has a rugby team competing to see who really is the world champion, and not just the champion of the United States. And the last thing we're going to look at is safety. Safety is a big deal now when it comes to sports, and most of us and our parents really are concerned about when we gear up and go out there and play American football. Yeah, we have a lot more safety equipment, such as our helmets, our shoulder pads, knee pads, thigh pads. And rugby, you really don't have any of that. The only regulation thing you need in rugby is a mouth guard, which does make it sound like it's a little more dangerous. But rugby remains only a contact sport, as compared to football, which is turned into a collision sport. See, studies have shown that football helmets and shoulder pads have actually made football more dangerous, because it gives people the power to realize, I can run into this guy as hard as I can and I won't be hurt. Therefore, you lead with your head because you have a helmet on, and you forget the normal forms of tackling which you would use in rugby. Rugby, you have no face mask, you have no helmet. It's just a bunch of guys with no extra padding tackling each other, and if you don't have any extra padding over the other guy, you're not going to hit him any harder just because you're better protected. So, and if you look at long-term effects, rugby may bang you up in the short run, but studies have shown way more football players end up with concussions and life-threatening injuries that will affect you for the rest of your life than rugby players. The most dangerous part of rugby is the scrum, and although it adds some strain on the spine and things like that, American football players are far more likely to end up with a concussion than a rugby player. So to wrap it all up, we have the time, which is valuable to us, that rugby saves you time. It gives you more bang for your buck. We have the popularity, and rugby's way more popular on a world scale than American football is. And we have safety. Rugby's a safer sport than American football. So why would we as Americans not want to have more rugby and less American football? It just kind of makes sense to me that rugby would be the best choice.